Let's talk about my Miami Heat.
There you go.
5-game win streak. Tyler Hero comes back on Monday night, has 24 points in a game against in a win over the Mavericks, including the go-ahead floater, just floater after floater in that game. 8 floaters. I think I saw it somewhere on Twitter. I don't know if this is accurate, but it's like the most floaters ever recorded in a single game since we've had that tracking data. And I'm like, okay, that's a cool record to have, I guess. Jordan never did it. Um,
We didn't track it back then.
right. Okay, fair enough. Um, this team is fun to watch, and that is my biggest takeaway. We can get into all the other stuff if you want to, Mo. I'm very interested to what you have to say about this offense. But the biggest takeaway I have on this Heat season so far, fun to watch, which is not something I've said about this Miami Heat team. It feels like in 3 regular seasons. It's just they have not been fun to watch. Now they are.
It's not the Miami Heat we're used to, right? Like we know. Listen, at this point in the season, we know the whole story. They're playing fast, but like you have to give credit to Spo saying, "Yeah, man, our offense sucks.
Mm-hmm.
We got to change." And there are a lot of coaches. I don't think people understand that. Just nope. This is how we play. This is what we do. And this is what we're going to continue to do. I know it's worked. And honestly, if Spo said that, would any of us argue with Spo? Like, we just go like, yeah, the offense sucks, but Spo's won championships off of this. He's gone to finals 2 finals in the past few years, off of that. Kind of just got to roll with Spo. But like, to his credit, he's come in and just said, no, we got to change this up. Let me make an offense that fits the team. And the most important thing about this whole offense is completely rejuvenated Jaime Jaquez's career. After a great rookie season, his second season won in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
He was not good. He struggled a lot. And now he looks rejuvenated in what he's doing. This team, Davion Mitchell's been phenomenal. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that with Herro, because he is so good for this team and this offense that I wonder what this kind of does with Herro and how do they deal with all of that. But you just got to love what you're seeing from there, because the other thing about this is they're still the Miami Heat defensively.
Yep.
They still defend their asses off. And I think that's an important aspect of it. If you're going to play this fast, you got to be able to get stops on the other end of the courts, because the teams that we know that play fast like this in history were not good defensively. And I think that's kind of where you're going to see this. Like, this is the thing for this Heat that's different, is they've kept their defense as rock solid. And then you have guys like Khalil Ware looking really good, getting Bam back and Bam going through all, like, they got a lot of stuff there I like. And again, this is another team. I wasn't expecting this.
Wasn't expecting it either. I had heard that basically at training camp that they were going to run a lot of different stuff offensively. And they got back into some old school stuff, Mo, that you would appreciate. Like, just that old, like, middle school drill that you used to do is get the ball up the floor without dribbling.
Yep.
They were doing that in training camp. And you could start to see some of that stuff now on the court with these hit-ahead passes and all these things. But you mentioned the pace plus the defense, and this was from John Schumann in his weekly power rankings. I love this stat. He goes, over the previous 29 seasons for which we have play-by-play data, only 14 of the 145 teams that have ranked in the top 5 in pace have also ranked in the top 5 on defense. And the Heat are on track to become the 15th team. That is rare company. By the way, the Thunder were one of those teams last year, and are one of those teams this year. But
I can spoiler alert: they'll be one of those teams next year, and the team the year next after that.
But, the Heat are hoping to also be there, right? Like, this is not a temporary thing. Talking with people within the Heat, like, this isn't well, it's post Jimmy Butler. We don't really have that superstar, so we're just trying to figure things. They believe in this. They want to play like this. Now, that's not to say that it won't evolve, and I do think that we will slowly see maybe more pick and roll added. We're already starting to see opportunistically them kind of just setting an old school, whatever, just like a classic pick and roll, just here and there. They'll just call it up every once in a while, and I think it'll be really interesting to see what Tyler Herro does in this offense. Even he said after his first game back, he was like, it was weird to not to come up the floor and not call like Khalil up for a screen, because he's just there's just so much muscle memory in doing that. And he's going to have to. There's going to be growing pains with Tyler Herro in this offense, but I want to go back to something you mentioned about Davion Mitchell because I 100% agree with you. This guy, first of all, throws overhand fastballs as a pass, and that is such a great fit in this offense. And him doing that with the hit-ahead passes also, and then his ability to also just get downhill and get 2 feet in the paint and make the right decision is so underrated. We all think about Davion Mitchell as this defensive guy, kind of like what you were talking about with Jamal Shed. Offensively, he's got game, dude. Like, that guy is making a positive impact in this Heat offense. I don't know that they could afford to take him out of the starting lineup. And last I checked, you can only start 5 guys. You can't start 6 guys.
We'll see what happens. Why not? No, I'm just kidding.
Put them out there, see if they catch it. But
so let me ask you, since you're here, you're there. Who do you take out of the starting lineup? Like, what? How do you do this?
So if you have to put Davion, so the reason I would like to have Davion in there is if you're doing the starting backcourt of Tyler Herro and Norm Powell, Powell has been awesome for the Heat, but he's been awesome because he's the second side guy. Ball swings to him, makes a decision in half a second, shoot, dribble, or pass, and he is destroying opponents. I don't think that would be the case if Norm Powell is your initiator. And the Heat made it very clear Norm Powell is our second side guy. He's not going to initiate a lot of offense for us. And that's good. It's obviously working. Tyler Herro has been an initiator for the Miami's offense over the last couple of years. But like I just said, he's still figuring out this offense. So do you really want the guy who just got here initiating your offense that is pretty complicated? There's a steep learning curve. And then once you do it, you're kind of, you're on skis. But before that, there's a steep learning curve that we've seen everybody in this offense kind of go through. The preseason was ugly. They had more turnovers than assists in the preseason for a reason. It takes a while.
Yep.
But that's the preseason. Now we're in the regular season, the games that matter. So all of that to say, do you just deal with the growing pains now? Or do you say, Davion's been really good in this role. Let's keep him in this role and let Tyler Herro kind of get the Norm Powell effect and play off of him? And if that's the case, do you start Davion, Powell, and Herro? You have to start Wiggins, because of his two-way play. And then obviously Bam, and that takes Kel'el Ware out of the starting lineup. And maybe you do that. I don't think that could be off the table because we've seen Ware going up and down, but the way he's playing, it's really hard to do that.
So one great problem to have again.
Yep.
Right. And the only thing I would say about this is I honestly think you just have to start the learning curve now, because you need to give enough time for Herro to understand. Because at the end of the day, and again, everything, I know it's November, but at the end of the day, everything comes down to, all right, but what happens in the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to need Tyler Herro to be on the floor in close games in the playoffs. So we need to get him as many reps as possible in this offense for 2 reasons. Besides the playoffs, if it's not going to work and it's not going to click with him in the offense, then we need to know that. And if we need to move him, we need to move him. And I think that's an important aspect of what you're kind of watching for with them. So, I mean, honestly, like, it might be a tough conversation with it's going to be a tough conversation, whether it's Davion or Kel'el Ware. And you got to just say, like, yo, you need to keep rolling with how you're rolling, but we need to bring you off the bench. And I think that's kind of and maybe it's situational depending on who you're playing, how you want it, if you want to start Ware, if you want to start Mitchell, but I think it's one of those guys. And you just got to hope that it doesn't change their play with all that stuff, because I think that's where you got to go with it. Because Herro is the guy you're going to need at the end of games in the playoffs.
And it's not, I know the offense is exciting and they're scoring a lot of points, but on a possession basis, they're not terribly efficient, right? Like, this is still the 13th ranked offense in the league schedule adjusted offensive rating. And they've only had Tyler Herro for 1 game. In other words, there's room for improvement. And Tyler Herro, for as efficient as he can be in this offense, is the guy that can improve this offense. Now, they've missed Bam for a long stretches. They've missed Norm. That's also contributing to maybe a lesser than expected offensive rating based on what we're seeing on the court when they're right. But there's still room for improvement offensively. I think what you said, maybe some nights it's Davion, maybe some nights it's Kel'el. That's probably the way to go. I do think the closing lineup is probably Davion, Herro, Powell, Wiggins, Bam when everybody's healthy. And that could be really interesting too.